Heartwarming moment exposed, she asked for a kiss, unknowingly facing her incredible CEO. The clinking of coffee cups and sizzling of bacon filled the small diner, where scents intertwined with laughter, and Emma bustled about like a whirlwind. In her late 20s, she wore her determination like a badge of honor, working tirelessly, juggling 2 jobs, all while nurturing her younger brother's dreams of college. Their father's illness had thrown their lives into chaos, but she refused to let that dim the light of hope in her heart. She served breakfast with a smile, chatting with the regulars who had become like family, but her dreams stretched far beyond the diner's greasy confines. It was one typical afternoon when the hum of the diner was drowned out by a conversation at the counter about Jack, the town's enigmatic CEO, handsome, wealthy, and philanthropic, yet shrouded in complexity. Patrons debated whether he truly understood their struggles, as rows of eyes darted around the tiny space, absorbing every word. A flicker of curiosity ignited in Emma's chest, the kind that fueled her dreams. She wondered about this man whose life seemed so different from her own. With a playful grin and a hint of exhaustion, she turned to a regular, "How about a kiss on the cheek? I could use the boost today." Laughter erupted, and as she swirled back to fill an order, she felt a presence nearby. Caught off guard, she glanced up just in time to meet Jack's gaze, his eyes sparkling with mischief. To her utter astonishment, he leaned down, brushing his lips against her cheek in a moment that felt electric. The chatter dimmed, the world around them fading as a wave of unexpected connection washed over her. Flustered and stunned, Emma blinked up at him. For Jack, the action was more than mere playfulness, it was an awakening. In that simple gesture, tangled emotions sparked. She was genuine, unrefined, everything his polished world lacked. He straightened, their shared moment suspended in time, the whispers around the diner swirled like a storm of growing speculation. Could he even begin to understand the life of a waitress, the sacrifices behind her smile? "Wow," murmured a nearby customer, eyes wide with disbelief. The moment pulled tighter, as though the very air held its breath. Emma felt a knot of anxiety twist in her stomach. Their worlds seemed to be colliding, and the very essence of their differences began to gnaw at her confidence. She wasn't just a waitress, she was a sister, a dreamer, a woman fighting against the tide of hardship. Suddenly, the reality hit, striking harder than a thunderclap. Jack's world was built on privilege, while hers was forged in struggle. How could their budding friendship survive when the chasm between them yawned like a canyon? She clenched her fists, unwilling to let despair overshadow her hopes. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the annual town festival drew near, tension crackled in the air. Jack was slated to deliver a keynote speech. Emma knew this could be his moment to champion the local businesses struggling under Jack's corporate shadow. Her heart raced with both hope and fear. Could he? Would he? As uncertain thoughts whirled in her mind, Emma stood at the edge of the festival grounds, heart fluttering. Jack approached, and the weight of their disparate worlds loomed heavily as uncertainty settled over them. Would they choose to face the complexities or back away when it truly mattered? Emma knew the stakes had never been higher. The festival grounds hummed with anticipation. Colorful banners waved in the gentle breeze, and the delicious aroma of funnel cakes mixed with the rustling sounds of laughter and conversations. Emma stood at the edge, her heart thumping like a drum. She could see Jack mingling with the crowd, his tall figure exuding confidence, yet she couldn't shake the feeling of distance between their two worlds. Doubt clawed at her. She had spent countless nights dreaming about the possibilities this moment could bring, but now that it was here, uncertainty wrapped around her like a thick fog. Did Jack even know the gravity of what his words could mean? She bit her lip and took a steadying breath, her thoughts racing. "Hey, Emma." A cheerful voice broke through her reverie. It was Nora, one of her closest friends from high school. Nora's bright smile was contagious. "Hey. Just taking it all in." Emma gestured to the festival, trying to keep her own worries at bay. Nora raised an eyebrow, her expression a mix of encouragement and concern. "You look a bit lost in thought. You okay?" "Yeah, just, the speech. Jack has a chance to make a real difference for the businesses here." Emma's voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping back in. "Isn't that a good thing?" "You need to believe in him a little, Emma," Nora urged, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Maybe this is your chance to approach him afterward?" Emma felt her stomach twist at the thought. Speak to Jack after the speech? It sounded easier than it felt. The image of their earlier encounter flashed in her mind, his warm, teasing smile, and the fleeting kiss that had ignited something deep within her. What if he didn't remember it as she did? What if he had more important things on his mind? As if hearing her thoughts, Jack stepped up to the microphone, drawing the crowd's attention. The chatter quieted, and all eyes were on him. He looked genuinely happy to be there, and for a moment, Emma was entranced. "Thank you all for being here," Jack began, his voice strong and clear. "I love our town and the amazing people who make it special." Emma felt her heart swell with pride. "I know times are tough, especially for local businesses fighting against challenges that feel bigger than we are. But I believe in our community." His words wrapped around her, filling her with a flicker of hope. Maybe this was it. Maybe Jack could be the bridge between their worlds. But when he looked around, Emma couldn't help but scrutinize his expression for signs of understanding or empathy. Was he really connecting with them, or was it all just a performance? Halfway through the speech, Emma found herself leaning in as he spoke about unity, the strength of local voices, and the importance of supporting each other. It felt as if he was casting a net, drawing everyone in, including her, a net she desperately wanted to be caught in. Her eyes locked onto his, and for a split second, it felt like he could see right through her. After applause thundered through the festival grounds as Jack wrapped up, Emma decided it was now or never. As people began to disperse, she took a deep breath and walked towards him, every step heavy with hope and fear. Each inch brought her closer to the man who could see her right in the middle of the storm, her dreams swirling around her like the festive decorations around them. "Jack!" she called, her voice barely audible above the lingering buzz of excitement. He turned, the playful spark still lighting his eyes. Yet, the moment felt fragile, and Emma's heart raced with the weight of this new conversation. But what she didn't expect was the crowd parting, revealing a face from her past that sent her heart plummeting. Her father in a wheelchair, a grim look etched across his brow. Emma's breath caught in her throat, her heartbeat echoing like a drum as her father's presence shattered the bubble of excitement she had stepped into. He had been a constant in her life, but lately, he'd been more of a shadow looming, watching, and reminding her of the heaviness she was trying to escape tonight. "Dad!" she exclaimed, rushing forward, her pulse quickening with both concern and confusion. Why had he come? Why now? The festival's joyful chaos faded into the background as the very foundation of her world threatened to shake beneath her feet. He offered a weak smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. The usual warmth she once found there had dimmed. The scars of lingering illness were etched across his face like lines on an old map. "Hey, kiddo," he replied, his voice barely carrying above the crowd. Jack lingered a few steps back, uncertainty clouding his expression. Emma glanced at him, torn between her old life and the new feelings that had been budding all day. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" she pushed, her emotion boiling just under the surface. "I didn't want you to worry," he said, shifting in the wheelchair. "I wanted to see you happy. This is a big night for you." A small swell of pride ignited within her. He always knew how to ease her fears, even when he could barely manage his own. Still, an ache gnawed at her gut. The festival buzzed around them, laughter and cheers the backdrop to their private exchange, but the thrill of the night faded as shadows lengthened. Emma scrutinized him, the way he leaned slightly forward, as if he was trying to lean into her vibrancy, to absorb her joy like it could transfer some strength to him. "You shouldn't have come alone," she whispered, panic creeping into her words. "Did Mom? She's fine, Emma. Don't worry." There was an edge to his voice that silenced her. He was not well, and she couldn't shake the feeling that her world was about to tilt further. Jack approached, the warmth of his presence almost grounding amidst the turmoil. "Is everything okay?" he asked softly, glancing from Emma to her father. The genuine concern in his voice made her heart flutter, a bittersweet reminder of the hopeful feelings she'd tucked away for a moment like this. "It's just family stuff," Emma murmured, holding back the wave of pain welling in her chest. She couldn't let her father's frailty overshadow this beautiful night, this very moment that felt electrifyingly close to something she had longed for. Jack nodded, his eyes still holding her. There was understanding there, a silent pact somehow exchanging between them under the vibrant colors of the festival lights. It fueled her resolve. She could have both her father and her dreams. Rolling her shoulders back, Emma turned back to her dad, forcing a smile that felt both real and somewhat forced. "I'm so glad you're here. I want to introduce you to someone." As she beckoned Jack closer, her heart raced with anticipation, a flicker of hope rising within her. Would her father see the good in this man who had sparked something new in her? And what would Jack think of her world, once hidden behind layers of family loyalty and responsibility? "Dad, this is Jack," she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "He's been working hard to help our community." Jack extended a hand. Emma watched the two parts of her life converge. The moment felt monumental, as if the past was colliding with the future right before her eyes. But just as she thought they might find some common ground, her father's expression turned serious, an unmistakable shadow crossing his features. Emma held her breath, uncertain of what would happen next. Could her father accept Jack and the dreams she had begun to chase, or would this be another instance of her heart being split in two? The tension between them wrapped around her, a fragile string threatening to snap. She could feel the weight of expectation hanging heavily in the air. Could she bridge the gap between her father's world and her burgeoning feelings for Jack, or would the realities of her past crush her hopes? For the future? "Jack," her father began, his voice firm and deliberate as the festival continued to swirl with life around them. "We need to talk." Jack's hand hesitated just above his side, unsure if he should pull back or reach closer. The clamor of the festival erupted around them, but it felt distant, muted under the intensity of the moment. Emma noticed the crack in her father's demeanor, how his usual warmth gave way to something more potent, protectiveness wrapped in caution. "Talk?" Jack echoed, his voice steady, though he stole a glance at Emma. The mixture of fear and loyalty in her eyes tightened his gut. He could feel the tension curling like smoke between them, thick and unyielding. "Yeah," her father replied, his gaze sharp. "This isn't the time or place for what you're doing here with her." Emma's heart sank. The word struck with the dullness of a hammer, threatening to drive a wedge between her and the budding joy she had just begun to feel. "What do you mean?" "We're just friends," Jack countered, but he held Emma's gaze, and the intensity of what pulsed between them made it more than just friendship. "And I wanted to help her, to support her dreams." "Sweetheart," her father interjected, turning toward Emma while still facing Jack. "It's not that simple. You know I worry. I need you to focus on what's important. This isn't some summer fling." Emma's mind raced. This was the crux of everything she feared, her father's voice cutting into her newfound freedom, tossing doubts into the air like confetti. "Dad, stop. You don't understand," she protested, her breath quick, puncturing through the shell of that night's magic. "Jack isn't just a fling. He actually cares. Does he? Her father challenged, his brow furrowing as if he were assessing every word, every breath. Or is he just giving you what you want to hear? His scrutiny heightened the tension, filling the space around them with an electricity she dreaded and craved all at once. Emma clenched her fists, fighting against the tide of protection swept up in her father's worries. It's not like that, he's real. I feel things with him. Things I haven't felt in a long time. Jack started, concern threading through his voice, but Emma cut him off, the lump in her throat tightening. I need you to trust me, Dad. She exclaimed, her heart racing. This is my life, my choice. Can't you see? I don't want to be afraid anymore. A flicker of pain passed through her father's eyes. For a heartbeat, the man she looked up to faded, and in his place stood only a protective figure, wrestling with fear of loss. I just want to keep you safe. It's my job, he replied, almost a whisper. Jack took a half-step forward, determination etched across his features. I won't hurt her. I promise. The sincerity in his delivery echoed against all doubts, creating a sliver of hope amidst the chaos. Emma held her breath, the tightness in her chest loosening as she felt Jack's earnestness. But her father remained unmoved, the shadows of doubt lingering. You may say that now, he intoned, his tone dropping, cautious yet stubborn. Dad, please, she implored, her voice softening to a near whisper. The festival continued around them, laughter spilling like warm sunshine, but her own world was tangled up in uncertainty. I don't want to lose you or this. Silence fell, heavy and wraparound, and Emma could only stand there, breathless and waiting. The cool air brushed against her skin, and she sensed the moment stretching, each second seeming as heavy as a stone. Could her father see the truth she was trying to show? Could he let go of the past just a little bit and allow her to step forward into something new? And just when she thought they might find common ground, she found the slightest flicker of a smile creeping across Jack's face, resilient and hopeful, like a budding flower. Emma, just think about it, her father said, voice carrying the weight of years, standing firmly where his fears met her dream. Emma's heart raced, knowing that this was just the beginning. But with uncertainty thick around them, she couldn't shake that nagging feeling. They were on the edge of something monumental, but would she dive into the depths, or would her father's lingering shadows pull her back? What if I'm too afraid to leap? She thought, as she glanced between Jack and her father. A war waged inside her heart. Would love win, or would doubt prevail? The festival lights flickered, vibrantly alive, and so were the possibilities awaiting her next choice. Their next moment together might shape the future, but would fear hold her hostage, or would she embrace the unknown? Emma's heart pounded in her chest, a drumbeat of uncertainty and exhilaration. She could feel the weight of her father's expectations pressing against her like an unyielding wall. The faces around them blurred, laughter echoing but feeling distant, a world she used to belong to but now felt so far away. Jack was beside her, a reassuring presence amidst the emotional storm. Let's just, Emma began, but her father interrupted. This is bigger than you realize. Life isn't just about feelings. You have to think about your future. His voice softened, but the steely edge remained. When I was your age, I made choices I regretted. I don't want that for you. But Dad, you also taught me to follow my heart. Emma's voice trembled slightly, desperate to cut through the haze of his fears. Jack shifted slightly, the intensity of her father's gaze burning into him. I'm not trying to replace anything in Emma's life, sir. I just want to be there for her. To see her happy. Her father's expression was one of skepticism. Happiness doesn't come from romance alone, Jack. You're young. You don't know the costs that come with it. Emma swallowed, her throat tight. But you don't know what it's like to feel this way. To actually be seen for who you are, she insisted, looking at Jack, wanting her father to understand that connection was more than just fleeting joy. This isn't some fairy tale, her father pressed. What happens when the music stops, and the lights go out? What then? The mention of lights dimming struck Emma deep. The festival around them was exhilarating, yet so fragile, just like the emotions swirling inside her. Jack's gaze didn't waver, it held hers firmly, grounding her in a moment she wished to stretch infinitely. What if I want to be brave? Emma challenged, her voice rising. What if I want to discover what's out there, with Jack or without him? What if I want to take that leap? Jack's expression shifted, a mix of admiration and worry. You do what feels right for you, Emma. Just don't do it to prove anything to anyone else. There was courage in his words, but doubt still lingered on the fringes of her mind. What if taking this leap would ruin everything? Emma, her father said, his voice softer, I want you to be free. But I also want you to be safe. He looked between them, his voice almost pleading. That might mean reassessing what you think you want. For a moment, Emma felt torn. Was she being reckless? And yet, deep down, she sensed that she was ready to embrace this too. It's not recklessness, Dad. It's growth. It's knowing that I can take control, that I can make my own choices. A flicker of something akin to pride flashed across her father's face, but it was quickly intertwined with concern. I know I can't protect you from everything, Em, but can you give me time to understand this? Jack, I don't want to see you hurt. Jack nodded, his expression warming. I get that. I'll respect your concerns. Just let Emma decide. Time suddenly felt precious, and Emma could sense the festival's excitement bubbling up again around them. People were dancing, the sweet scent of funnel cakes mixed with laughter floated through the air. But she stood still, trapped in a moment suspended in time. Dad, I just need you to trust me, she said, her voice trembling with vulnerability. Do you think I could ever hurt myself on purpose? The world shifted, and a sigh passed between father and daughter under the chaotic energy of the festival. I just want you to be careful with your heart, he replied, a hint of sadness in his voice. Then, as if sensing the shift in the air, Jack stepped closer. Emma, just one moment, he reached out, tenderly brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. The gentle touch ignited something within her, like a flame reigniting after a long winter. Her breath caught. Okay, maybe it's time to take a leap then, she whispered, grounding herself in the warmth of his presence, the promise of possibility shimmering ahead. And just like that, she was ready to dive into the unknown. Maybe it was the magic of the festival, or maybe it was Jack. She looked at him with newfound resolve, a smile breaking through her worries. But before she could say anything more, a loud cheer erupted from the crowd. A beautiful fireworks display erupted over the festival, lighting up the night sky. The thrumming colors illuminated their faces, creating a moment that felt monumental. Emma turned back to Jack, her heart racing once again. What do we do now? Before she could ponder further, she caught her father's stern gaze as he stood slightly apart from them. She could see a flicker of acceptance beginning to bloom. With her heart racing from the explosion of colors in the sky, she whispered to Jack, "Kiss me like you mean it." What followed was a moment that could change everything forever, yet still hung in the air like the bursting fireworks above. Would they dive headlong into love, or would the shadows of doubt chase them down? Emma held her breath, anticipation flooding her. The leap was just beginning, and the plunge felt exhilarating. As the fireworks painted the sky, Emma closed her eyes and leaned into Jack, feeling the world blur around them. His lips brushed gently against hers, tentative yet electrifying. A rush of warmth enveloped her, as if they were the only two people left in the universe. But then, the moment broke. A distant voice called out, pulling Emma back to reality. She opened her eyes and saw her father, standing rigidly at the edge of the crowd, concern etched across his features. The exhilaration from the kiss faded slightly as the weight of his expectations pressed down again. Let us not make this a scene, her father said, stepping closer. "Can we just talk a second?" Jack pulled away, confusion swirling in his hazel eyes. Emma's heart plummeted. Did she just make everything worse? She felt a flash of anger rise up from her chest. Was she expected to constantly defer her happiness for fear of others' opinions? "Yeah, of course. I just wanted a moment," she replied, trying to sound nonchalant but failing miserably. "I understand that," her father continued, the lilt of frustration creeping back into his voice. "But this is not just about you. It's about your future, as I said. We can't afford to lose focus on what truly matters." Emma felt torn. She glanced at Jack, his brows scrunching slightly in pain, as if feeling her turmoil. "Can I just have a minute with you?" she asked her father, desperation creeping into her tone. "Fine, but we'll talk. You have to see this isn't just a phase, Em. There are consequences," he warned, looking between them, a sense of urgency in his gaze. A feeling of dread settled in Emma's stomach. Could he really see Jack as just a phase? She stood tall, trying to gather the pieces of herself that felt so scattered. "I need time to sort through this, Dad. It's not like I'm going to throw everything away for him." Jack shifted uncomfortably, glancing back at the crowd still cheering as the dazzling display erupted above them. "I don't want you to hurt him," her father said, sincerity edging into his voice. "Or yourself. Promise me you'll think it over before making any rash decisions." Emma nodded. She appreciated his concern, but it felt like a cage around her heart. Was it possible to soar free while still considering his fears? With her father watching, she turned back to Jack, who looked both worried and hopeful. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered. "I didn't mean to put you in this position." "Hey," Jack replied, voice steady. He took a step closer, close enough for her to feel the warmth radiating from him. "If it's a leap, we'll leap together. Just don't let anyone else dictate your journey, okay?" She nodded, feeling the connection between them pull tighter, like an anchor amidst the swirling uncertainty. The night felt alive with possibility, but shadows lingered in the corners of her heart. "Can we find somewhere quiet? Just for a moment?" Emma suggested, biting her lip as she scanned the festival's chaotic fun. It felt like she was asking for more than time. She craved a sanctuary away from judgment, if only for a few precious minutes. "Absolutely," Jack replied, a gentle smile spreading across his face as he extended his hand. They wove through the crowd, their fingers intertwined, the vibrant festival fading behind them. Each step felt like a small break from the weight of expectations. Emma wanted more than anything to be just herself with Jack, to share a bubble of dreams and hopes. Once they reached a secluded area, the sounds of laughter and cheers faded to a soft murmur, replaced by the rustling leaves and the gentle glow of string lights. She turned to Jack, her heart racing again with excitement and fear. "What if I mess this up?" Emma breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack stepped forward, his expression resolute. "The only way to mess this up is not to be true to yourself. Just be you, Emma. That's all I want." As those words settled over her like a warm embrace, Emma felt a shift. The uncertainty that had gripped her moments before began to ease ever so slightly. Maybe love wasn't as petrifying as she thought. But just then, as she opened her mouth to respond, a loud crash echoed through the air. A sudden burst of fireworks had set off an unexpected cascade of smoke and sparks, drawing the attention of festival-goers just a few yards away. The beautiful moment was interrupted, leaving Emma staring into the chaos, wonder and fear mingling in her chest. "What was that?" Jack asked, glancing back toward the commotion. With a quickening pulse, Emma found herself wondering, in love, as in life, could chaos ignite something beautiful or deepen the uncertainty? And as the smoke billowed, she felt a decision looming closer than ever before. What if this was the spark that finally pushed her to act? As the night unfolded unexpectedly, she prepared to face whatever came next, knowing every leap revealed not just who she was but also who she could become. Emma's heart raced as the crowd near the fireworks display became more animated. Gasps echoed, and people hurried closer to the spectacle. She was still locked in Jack's gaze, but the vibrant chaos around them felt like a tidal wave threatening to sweep their moment away. What if it's just a malfunction? Jack's brow furrowed, concern evident in his voice. People could get hurt. She could see the scattered flickers of light through the smokescreen, each spark alighting a mixture of anxiety and adrenaline within her. Let us check it out, Emma suggested, her voice steadier than she felt. They made their way back toward the commotion, hands still intertwined. Just beyond the crowd, sparks rained down like glittering stars, and she could see a small stage littered with equipment and a couple of dazed staff members trying to restore order. The excitement flowed, pulling everyone together, yet Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being on the edge of something profound, not just the chaos outside but the turmoil brewing within her. What is going on? She asked a nearby vendor, who was wiping his forehead in disbelief. Some fireworks malfunction, he replied, shaking his head. Lucky no one was seriously hurt though. Just some singed eyebrows and startled hearts. Oh God, Emma whispered, her stomach flipping at the thought. Jack squeezed her hand tighter. See? They handled it. Everything is fine. But how could anything truly be fine? The thrill of the chaos was a stark contrast to the heaviness in her soul. If she had to choose between Jack and her father, whose expectations loomed like a storm cloud overhead, which path would she take? Suddenly, Emma turned, catching Jack's eyes as they smiled at the ridiculousness unfolding. He had this way of bringing light to dark moments, and the tension that had hung around her snapped a little. You know, you wanted to hold my hand in the middle of an explosion. Maybe your next adventurous impulse should be a little tamer, she teased, trying to break the weight of reality. Jack chuckled softly. Maybe I was just excited to see you. You bring the adventure, I just go along for the ride. Giggling, Emma felt a shiver of warmth bloom in her chest, a flicker of hope. Just then, a loud crack shattered the air, yanking her back into the moment. Fireworks shot up again, but this time with a much better display, painting the sky with bursts of vibrance and shimmering brilliance. As the crowd cheered, she turned back to Jack. What if things were like the fireworks? A little unpredictable but utterly beautiful? Jack searched her face, his expression softening. Are you saying we make our own chaos? Maybe, Emma replied, letting the tension ease from her shoulders. Maybe we can create a spark together. He smiled, a light dancing in his eyes that made her heart flutter. Just as she was about to lean in again, her phone buzzed violently against her hip. The sharp tone shattered their shared moment like a glass breaking on the floor. Emma pulled it out and glanced at the screen, her father's name flashing ominously. Are you going to answer it? Jack asked softly, his smile fading just a touch. I should, she stammered, feeling drawn into the whirlwind of obligations again. The weight of her father's expectations pressed firmly down. Emma, Jack said, taking a step closer, urgency in his voice. You know what you want, right? Don't let them overshadow this. As she stared into his earnest gaze, a rush surged through her. She could feel the answer stirring inside her, but would she be brave enough to claim it? In that moment, she understood she was at a crossroads. What if she chose Jack over safety and expectations? What if tonight wasn't just about the fireworks, but her own liberation? Taking a deep breath, Emma raised the phone, hovering her finger over the answer button. As the fireworks continued their dazzling dance overhead, the question echoed in her mind, could she finally embrace the chaos into something beautiful, risking everything for what felt right? Time froze as she prepared to make a choice that could reshape her future entirely. But would she find the courage to follow her heart? That was a leap she knew she had to take, but the moment hung in the air what awaited her on the other side. The world around Emma seemed to blur as her heart raced. The buzzing in her hand felt like an electric shock, pulling her back into reality. She glanced at Jack, his eyes steady but filled with an urgency that pricked at her insides. What if she didn't answer? What if she did? She drew in a shaky breath, her heart pounding, as if echoing the pops and cracks from the fireworks above. Choosing Jack over her father's demands felt like stepping into the unknown. He's just going to keep calling, she murmured, glancing at the pulsating screen again. Then let him call, Jack said, his voice low and firm. You have a choice here, Emma. You've got to decide what matters more. The warmth of his hand enveloped hers, grounding her. A spark from one of the fireworks launched overhead, illuminating their faces in dazzling colors. In that moment, everything else faded away. She looked into Jack's eyes, a colorful mosaic of fear, hope, and courage danced within them. Dad doesn't see the words caught in her throat. How could she convey everything years of expectations, ambitions pinned on her shoulders like the weight of the world? He doesn't see me. Just what he wants me to be. Jack nodded slowly, understanding washing over his features. And what do you want? Silence loomed, heavy with unvoiced fears and impossible dreams. Beneath the chaos, Emma sensed a stirring deep within her. Her mind flashed to their shared laughter, stolen glances, and the feeling of freedom he brought into her life. Perhaps she didn't need to choose a path alone. What if she could carve out a new one, merging her father's expectations with her own desires? Taking a deep breath, she hit the button, answering her father's call. Jack's grip on her hand tightened, his presence a steady anchor in the roiling sea of uncertainty. Emma, her father's voice came through, stern but cautious. I need to talk to you about the plans for next week and this isn't a good time, she interrupted, surprising even herself. It was raw, it was bold, and it made her heart thunder. Can we talk later? I'm really busy right now. The silence at the other end felt monumental. She expected anger, disappointment, but instead, she was met with a stretched pause and a sigh. All right, I'll wait. But this is important. The call ended, and Emma exhaled a breath she didn't realize she was holding. I told him no, she breathed, eyes wide. Jack's face broke into a wide grin, relief and admiration shining through. That was huge, Em. You're growing, you're learning, this is you taking control. A sense of exhilaration surged through her. What now? She asked, laughing in disbelief. Now, Jack replied, pulling her closer, I think it's time we found out what else we can create. He leaned in, brushing his lips against hers tenderly, and in that moment, fireworks crackled again overhead, matching the rhythm of her heart. Everything outside them blurred the crowd, the world, until there was just Jack and the intoxicating promise of something more. But as she melted into the sweetness of the kiss, something tugged at her mind. The freedom she felt was exhilarating, but her father's expectations still loomed, clouding her newfound joy. Emma? Jack whispered against her lips, his forehead resting against hers, sensing the shift in her mood. What if this is all temporary? The doubt slipped out before she had a chance to stop it. Jack frowned, concern flickering over his features. What do you mean? She looked away, searching the crowd for clarity among the chaos. What if I can't keep this up? What if he doesn't accept me as I am? Jack tensed, lifting her chin gently to meet his gaze. You'll only find out by pushing forward, Em. This is just the start. His words hung between them, fresh with possibility. What if he was right? She felt the weight of her decision bearing down again. But how could she chase after her own happiness while managing the expectations of the world around her? Jack, she began, her heart aching with newfound resolve. What if we dive deeper into this chaos? Together? He raised an eyebrow, amusement dancing in his features. You're ready for more, huh? What's next on the agenda? A grin broke through as she contemplated the unknown. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed again, and the name flashed once more, Dad. Her stomach clenched. Would she push through yet another moment of vulnerability? As the fireworks blazed above, she stared at the screen, the universe offering her a choice. What awaited her on the other side? Would she dare to answer? With her heart hammering in her chest, Emma grappled with the decision pulsating on her phone screen. Jack's hand, warm and reassuring, was still wrapped around hers, but the noise of the festival faded, leaving only the loud thumping of her blood racing. The symbols of celebration, the stunning fireworks illuminating the dark sky, felt distant, overshadowed by the monumental choice she faced. "Just breathe, Em," Jack said softly, his gaze never leaving hers. "Breathe," she echoed, trying to calm the whirlwind spiraling inside her. It was more than just answering a phone call, it was about facing a part of her life that weighed her down. She didn't want to disappoint her father, but the feeling of conforming was suffocating. Maybe this was an opportunity for her to establish boundaries. Emma pressed the green button, her thumb shaking. "Dad?" she said, her voice a mixture of courage and fear. "Emma. What is going on?" "I tried calling you earlier," her father's voice was loud and demanding, cutting through the gentle sounds of laughter and music around her. She hesitated. What could she say without igniting his frustration? "I needed some time. I can't discuss the plans right now. I'm out with friends." Silence hung in the air, thick and uncomfortable. She sensed a simmering anger behind his calm tone. "Emma, this is serious. I've paved the way for your career, and I need to ensure everything's south in place for next week. It's about your future. Why does everything have to revolve around what you want?" The words erupted before she could backtrack. Each syllable felt like breaking a glass, a clean snap and a reverberating echo. Jack's grip loosened but then tightened again as she spoke. Emma caught a glimpse of his surprised expression, the way his eyes widened, but his support was steady. "What do you mean? You should be grateful for the opportunities." His impatience seeped through. "I am grateful," she replied quickly, "but I'm not just a project for you to manage. I want to choose my own path, Dad. I need to figure this out on my own." Jack's expression shifted, admiration flickering across his face. He nodded slowly, encouraging her silently, and in that tiny gesture, Emma found her strength. "Are you saying you want to reject the offer? Is that what this is about?" Alarm rippled through her father's voice. "It's not about rejection. It's about redefining what that offer means to me," she whispered, more to herself than to him. "For once, take a moment to think of your future before you throw everything away." He snapped, and the anger coursed through the phone, chilling the warmth of the moment with Jack. Emma felt her heart drop, but she drew in a deep breath, letting it out slowly. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm choosing me. I can't do it without considering how I feel too." There was another long silence, but this time it was different. She waited, the anticipation beating like the fireworks in the sky, her heart clenching with both anxiety and hope. "You have your mother's stubbornness," he finally said, a quieter tone creeping into his voice. "This isn't easy for me, Emma. You're my only child. All I want is what's best for you." Tears pricked at her eyes unbidden, and the weight of that revelation settled over her. She realized it was about him too, his fears, his expectations. "I know that, and I appreciate it. But this is my life." The line went silent, and she wondered if she had gone too far. "Think it over, Emma. We will talk later," he said at last, a resigned tone coating his words before the call ended. Emma lowered the phone, staring at it in disbelief. A whirlwind of emotions filled her: relief, fear, a hint of sorrow, and most of all, freedom. She turned to Jack, who had a prideful gleam in his eyes. "You did it, Em," he said quietly. "Maybe I'm finally finding my voice," she replied, and in that moment, she truly believed it. But a thread of uncertainty entwined with her elation. Emma felt exhilarated but also terrified. The future felt uncharted. What new challenges would she face now that she had started to change the course of her life? Would she lose her father in the process? Jack sensed her internal struggle. Whatever comes next, we face it together, remember? He moved closer, lacing his fingers with hers. Together, she repeated softly, feeling the warmth radiating between them. But as they shared a comforting silence under the night sky, Emma's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from her father that simply read, "Please consider your options carefully." Her heart sank a little. The battle would continue. Jack looked at her, eyebrows raised, sensing her hesitation. "Ready for this?" Taking a deep breath, Emma nodded. Yes, she was ready. Yet, unease settled inside her. This was just the beginning, and she had to find her footing. What now? The question lingered, echoing her uncertainty as she glanced from the fireworks to Jack's reassuring smile. Now, Jack grinned, we dive deeper into this chaos. Together. But as she looked toward the direction of the fireworks, her heart pulsed with another thought. Would her next move truly bring her the happiness she sought, or would it plunge her deeper into her fears? Would each step forward wind up leading her back to where she started? As the last of the fireworks faded from the night sky, Emma stood next to Jack, her heart pounding not just from the thrill of the celebration, but from the weight of the choices she was making. A sense of liberation mixed with apprehension coursed through her. "Do you believe it?" Jack asked, breaking the brief silence, his voice full of warmth. "You took a huge step tonight. You stood up for what you want." Emma shifted, glancing towards the festival grounds, where people laughed and danced, unaware of the storm of emotions swirling in her heart. "I just wish it were simpler," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Jack stepped closer. "Nothing worthwhile ever is." His words struck a chord within her. She took a deep breath, inhaling the scents of popcorn and cotton candy, feelings of hope mingling with lingering doubt. What if I lose my dad in the process of finding myself? The vulnerability in her tone echoed the fears that clung to her like a shadow. Jack's expression softened. "It's about progress. Your dad might not understand right now, but you're showing him who you really are." "But what if who I am disappoints him?" she murmured, the knot in her stomach tightening again. Jack lifted her chin gently, his eyes filled with determination. "You're not here to meet anyone else's expectations. You're building your own path. That takes courage." His words encouraged a spark within her, and she felt herself reflecting on how far she had come. In the midst of the noise and celebration, Jack represented the possibility of a future she never thought she could reach. Emma smirked suddenly, curiosity bubbling up. "So, what's next for us, daring adventurer?" "I think we keep diving deeper," he replied with a grin. "Why stop at the surface when a whole ocean of possibilities awaits?" Emma laughed, the carefree sound a stark contrast to the waves of anxiety she felt just moments before. "Okay, but just so you know, I can't swim." "Neither can I," Jack chuckled, glancing around at the festival lights. "We'll just have to learn to float together." That struck a chord deep within Emma. Floating, being carried by the currents of life instead of fighting against them, might just be the approach she needed. With renewed determination, she turned to face him fully. "Let us do this." As they wandered through the festival, hand in hand, feeling the rhythm of the night, Emma understood that today marked a new chapter. One where she didn't just hope for a better future but actively chased it. Later, as the lights dimmed and the festival came to a close, Emma found a quiet spot away from the noise. The stars above were twinkling like promises, and she turned to Jack. "Can we sit?" He nodded. They settled on a nearby bench, the rustling leaves providing a soothing backdrop to the still night. "What are you thinking?" he asked, watching her closely, sensing the gravity of the moment. "I'm thinking about my dad," she said, her voice steady yet filled with uncertainty. "What if he can't let go of his expectations? What if this is a fight I can't win?" "He loves you, Emma," Jack replied, sincerity pouring from him. "It may take time, but he'll come around. That doesn't mean you shouldn't keep stepping forward in your own life." Just then, an unexpected light breeze rustled through the trees, mingling with her doubts and fears. Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. "You really believe that?" "Yes," he affirmed, looking deep into her eyes. "You're brave, and bravery inspires others. Take this leap, and others will follow." In that moment, the chaos of the festival faded, leaving only the two of them. Emma felt like she was standing on a precipice, ready to jump into uncharted waters. Would she rise or fall? Deep in her heart, she felt herself ready to embrace whatever came next. "What if my journey doesn't end where I think it should?" she whispered, vulnerability threading through her words. "Your journey is yours alone," Jack replied, and the emphasis he placed on yours made her heart swell with understanding. "It doesn't have to match anyone else's expectations. You're allowed to forge your own destiny." Through Jack's understanding, it became clear her journey would involve difficulty but also joy, embracing her past while carving out her own future. The stars sparkled above, and for her, they illuminated not just the sky but her aspirations. Emma took a deep breath, held Jack's hand tightly, and smiled. "Then let us carve this path together." As they sat there, surrounded by the echoes of laughter and celebration around them, Emma felt empowered. The possibilities stretched infinitely before her, and for the first time, the future didn't seem so intimidating. She was ready to face it all: her father's expectations, her blooming feelings for Jack, and the path she was just beginning to discover. "I can't wait to see where we'll go," she said softly, imagining the endless adventures awaiting them. "Neither can I," Jack replied, a radiant smile breaking across his face that made Emma's heart flutter. And just like that, Emma recognized that this was just the beginning. With Jack by her side, nothing was impossible. As they sat together, a gentle breeze wafted through the air, mingling the scents of summer with anticipation. Each moment felt like a tiny adventure, and all it took was a single step, a leap of faith into the unknown. The fireworks had long faded, but the spark of new beginnings ignited within Emma. She was ready for everything that was yet to come. Now more than ever, she knew, it was time to embrace the chaos and shine. To everyone watching, Emma's journey is still being written, and you can join her on this enlightening path. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, supporting the stories that inspire change. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because you need to be part of the adventure. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.